YouTube, I just got this 94 Nissan Pathfinder. It's an SE model, 4x4, 5-speed manual. 2 weeks ago. I really like the truck. You know, I did a few things to it. I got it for a pretty good price, but I'm having a noise coming from the transmission. So I just want to see if anybody else has heard about this. Heard this particular noise that I'm having. I've been reading on the forums, and apparently Nissan made these 5 speeds with the filler plug too low. Damn, it's hot. Not allowing the higher part of the transmission to get enough gear oil. So I have signs that somebody has pulled the shifter out in the past, you know, cut the carpet right there. And in my opinion, you know, from what I've been reading on forums and stuff like that, that's what happens. A lot of people, they have to cut the carpet in order to get the shifter off so they can top it off to the correct amount. So let's see if you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it, but I think I have a bad input shaft bearing, or one that's going out. So this is the engine at idle right now in neutral, and my foot off of the clutch pedal. I don't know if you can hear it. And then this is what happens when I press the clutch pedal in. That's in. The noise goes away. Out. In. Out. In. Okay, so from what I've been reading, that's an input shaft bearing. At first I thought it was a throwout bearing, but you know, I would think the throwout bearing would make noise when you push the clutch in. The noise goes away when you actually push the clutch in this case. So from what I've been reading, that's the input shaft bearing. Now another noise that it makes, aside from that, there's another noise that it makes when you're driving it. I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear it, but it's kind of like a rattling sound at really low RPM, usually at second and maybe third sometimes. Let's see if I can make it happen. Okay. Also, I have a big exhaust kit, so hopefully you can hear this. Okay, I don't know if you heard that real quick. It goes away right away. It's a very faint rattle, and when the transmission warms up, it seems to do it a little bit louder. Let's see if it'll do it right now. I didn't do it right now. Okay. It's not doing it. I hope you guys can hear it, but it usually makes this sound. I'm sorry guys, so there's a different camera that I'm using, but it usually makes it on second and third gear only. It's not doing it right now. You know, I am gonna do the whole change the oil. And the transmission. I'm gonna make sure I put the 5 liters. Shit, I'm sorry. I'm gonna put the GL4 gear oil. It's not really doing it right now, and it usually does it between like 12 and 1500 RPM, and then it goes away after that. Usually if I drive, if like I shift like right around 2500 RPMs or higher, I don't even hear the noise at all. But I'm just wondering if that's due to the input shaft bearing. I made it just a little bit right now. It's not doing it. And I'm not getting that that whine that a lot of people are talking about that these make when supposedly the transmission's gonna grenade because, you know, it didn't get enough oil. Like, it actually runs really smooth. It shifts fine. I don't hear no crazy whining sounds or anything like that. I mean, maybe a small, very, very small, faint whine, but it's nothing big. You know, I've had cars with other transmissions, manual transmissions, that make a... I kind of made it right there. That make a more whining sound than that. Okay, made it right now. I don't know if you heard that. It was pretty low in the RPM range. I'm sorry, I'm just probably pointing at the dash. I'm so sorry, guys. Because I have the windows closed, it's hot, so... Okay, made it right there again. So I don't know if you heard that. It only does it between second and, like, it's just second and third gear. Let me see if it does it right now. It did it a little bit, yeah. I'm thinking that it's just the input shaft bearing, and if I can get that replaced, then my transmission should be good. I mean, I don't know if bad synchros would make that sound. Like I said, the transmission shifts fine in every gear. I don't bang shift the thing, you know. I never bang shift anything. I always do a nice smooth shift, you know. But yeah, like I said, it only does it at really low RPMs. I just want to know if anybody else has had this noise. But as far as the input shaft bearing, look, you see right now my foot's in the clutch, neutral. Clutch out, the noise comes. Clutch in, clutch out. Okay, so let me go back home. Okay, made it right now. I guess it's only under, like, maybe hard acceleration. But yeah, like, I don't really hear no whining or anything like that. Like, I mean, it's, to me, it seems to be shifting pretty good. Let me see, of course. Ooh, god damn, it's hot. You know, and if I shift a little more in the higher RPM range, I don't hear it ever. But could that noise at that particular RPM in those gears just be the input shaft bearing? Or maybe another bearing that's going bad in between those gears? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how manual transmissions work. But yeah, that's my question. Has anybody ever had that particular sound before? From a bad input shaft bearing, like, you know, that low RPM shifting from second to third and shit. It only does it in those gears. Yeah, it did it a little bit. I don't think it's any type of rattling coming from like my exhaust or anything like that. It actually sounds like it's coming from the transmission. So I wonder, let me try something real quick. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try something real quick. Okay, I'm gonna put cars in neutral. Okay, it still makes it even though the transfer case is in neutral. Okay. Okay. Alright. Just wanted to see. Alright, I heard the popping sound. Alright. So I know I have a bad input shaft bearing, but could that also be caused by... Could that bad bearing also cause a rattle at low RPMs between shifting and second and third and stuff like that? Other than that, the car runs great. The 4x4 works. I have a limited slip. It is an SE. That was another thing. The diff was making a really nasty sound, kind of like a popping, clunking, like it was binding. I changed the gear oil. I put the Valvoline GL5 gear oil in it, and it was made for a limited slip, but supposedly it had the friction modifier in it already. I didn't. I put friction modifier in it anyways. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty clean. It's a pretty clean rig. I need the tire rack for the back. It's spare tires in here, but I mean, it's pretty clean. I just have these pillows in here just for. I mean, I kind of sleep in here sometimes, take a nap during work or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's got here problems, little things, you know. Horn doesn't work. Gas gauge is kind of I have that gas gauge problem. I just changed the timing belt just because, you know, it runs really smooth. I found a couple of vacuum leaks. I replaced those. Idles a lot better now, and I have I don't know if you can hear it, Thrush turbo muffler that I had on my sandrail. I put it on this thing because it still had the stock muffler. But yeah, it's a good little truck so far. I mean, aside from that noise, I mean, I feel like it's a pretty solid truck. It's really comfortable on the highway. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Let me turn it off. Okay, my truck does not start if I have the steering wheel down like this. See, nothing. So I don't know if there's some kind of low jack, but if the steering wheel is up like this, it starts. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. I tried taking this plastic piece off, and I couldn't find any like button or anything like that, you know, like some kind of kill switch that when this thing goes up, it pushes up against it. But I mean, if anything, I guess that's kind of a cool little feature. But also, for those of you that don't know what this interlock is, I didn't know, and I couldn't find no video on YouTube about it. But it's basically you don't have to press the clutch in order to start the car. So I don't know. Let me see. I'll put it right here to see if you guys can see that. But you push the button, make sure it's in neutral, because if it's in gear, it'll move. See? No foot on the clutch or nothing. So that's what that is. I found that out. Sport mode, whatever, comfort, I don't know. I just leave it in sport. I do feel a little difference, but I really don't know. It could just be in my head. I'm doing a coolant flush right now too in it. System cleaning. So I'm gonna replace that soon. That's why I have the thing in the hot position. Sorry for the long video, guys, but hopefully anybody can help me out with that rattling sound. Thank you.